Right, full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, was not expecting to be making another Bakes and Bants video today after the two-part special, the massive hummus and pita bread, quality, but it wiped me out. It was a lot of work, so I thought, give myself a couple of days off. However, just popped into the kitchen, stuck the kettle on. Mrs. says, do we have any biscuits? We do not. So I'm going to make some biscuits. But first, before I can even do that, the biscuits that I want to make, hobnobs, if you don't know what they are, you haven't lived, Google those bad boys. They require golden syrup. And you can't really get golden syrup here in America. So in this video, it's going to be super fast. I am going to make golden syrup.
Right, so first things first, this recipe typically calls for white sugar, but I never use white sugar. I always use raw, so my golden syrup will be a little darker than the store-bought stuff. Okay, so pour half a cup, which is 100 grams of sugar, into a saucepan and add 3 tablespoons of water. Bring up to a medium heat, then gently stir with a metal spoon until all of the sugar is completely dissolved into the water. If you're using white sugar, you'll also want to wait for your syrup to turn a lovely golden colour. It's best to use a metal spoon for this rather than wooden, as it's easier to clean afterwards. Obviously, the syrup gets very sticky, and the syrup can also penetrate the wood, so use metal. When the sugar is completely dissolved and the colour is just right, slowly add 300 milliliters of boiling water, little by little. Now please do this carefully. When you pour the water into the syrup, the water is going to sputter and steam. Don't worry about it, it's perfectly normal, but do it slowly and carefully. Right, once you've done that, it's time to add the rest of the sugar, which is 2.5 cups or 500 grams. You want to stir this and bring it back to a simmer. Then turn the heat down to low and simmer the syrup until all of the sugar has been dissolved. Now the syrup might bubble and froth a little, but don't worry about that. You can see by the end of the process, mine had foamed up a little bit and was a little bit frothy, but it's perfectly normal. Don't worry about that. Okay, last thing, add a few slices of lemon. This will keep the syrup from crystallizing, and simmer for 45 minutes.
Right, so that's it. It's in the saucepan. It's doing its thing. It's going to reduce for about, 45 minutes. So, make yourself a cup of tea. Go and stick the telly on. Go and, compose a pithy tweet. Send a fabulous Instagram story. Whatever you want to do. And then come back and check it in a bit.
Right, look at that, isn't it lovely? So we just want to remove those lemon slices now. You can throw them away if you want, but I always keep them. I just think they're beautiful, and what a wonderful garnish for a dessert that you could make at a later time. Now what you want to do is just let it cool for a few minutes in the saucepan, and then pour it into a sterilized jar. Now I always just sterilize my jars by pouring boiling water into them and then letting them stand for a couple of minutes. The syrup will be quite thin at this point, but don't worry, it's going to thicken up as it cools. Speaking of cooling, it's unbelievably hot, so please handle with care. And look at that. Now you have yourself a jar of delicious homemade golden syrup.
Wicked, so that's it. Golden syrup is done, and isn't it wonderful? It's really easy to do. It's a great product. Get it done. See you later.